In fact, it's 215 Republicans, some of them in very tough swing districts who are up for re-election next year, just voted to take Medicaid away from millions of Americans, including all these Republicans.
Democrats will tell you it's going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and take away your health care. They're lying, and nothing can be further from the truth.
We're not going to be touching Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Also will stand with President Trump in opposing gutting Medicaid. My position on this has not and it will not change.
Discomani says he supports both programs, writing a letter to Republican leadership saying he will not vote for any legislation that lowers Medicaid coverage.
Let me tell you again, as a nurse practitioner and a person who understands and cares about health care, I can reassure you that health care, that Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security are not places where we're looking to cut services.
A budget bill that does not protect vital Medicaid services and address the cap on state and local tax or SALT, these deductions, if they are not there, it will not receive my vote.
You vote to have that potential of those benefits being taken away?
No, I mean, obviously my goal is to not do anything that damages Medicaid.
Every single one of those Republicans just voted to damage and dramatically cut Medicaid. Every single one. The margins in the House are razor thin, and there is a lot of time left before the House will almost definitely have to take this bill back up. A lot of time in which any swing district Republican member of Congress could face a lot of pressure from their constituents.
Okay, you call yourself a Republican. Are you okay with cutting Medicaid? Are you okay with cutting food programs that feed the needy? Are you okay with cutting energy programs that keep the heat on for seniors and kids? Are you for that? Because that's what the Trump bill does. It cuts 13.5 million people off of health care. 13.5 million people will have no coverage if this passes. Tens of thousands of kids will be kicked off of food programs. They won't be able to get food. And countless numbers of seniors will have their power shut off at important times like during the winter. This is the Republican bill. And my question to you is, do you call yourself a Republican? And if you do, why are you for something so terrible? I'm just asking.
Oh, if they take Medicaid, if they cut SNAP, those people who don't want to work have to work. No, I don't think you're looking at the deeper picture. Nurses, doctors, CNAs, LPNs, all of them going to lose their jobs too. How, you may say? Well, if they cut all those billions of dollars in Medicaid, most of the people in hospital depend on Medicaid. Most of the people in nursing homes depend on Medicaid, which where RNs and doctors and nurses work. So if all of them die, who's going to fund the hospitals and the nursing homes? So that means that everybody else lose their jobs too. So I don't think y'all really thinking this out clearly. So all them Senates who got RN doctors, RN daughters and all that, when they start losing their job and then, oh my gosh, God forbid they lose their job and they can't take care of their kid, they can't pay their house mortgage, what will they ever do? What will they do? Oh no. When their grandma die. Oh no. When their third cousin die. And then they got to go to the funeral and they say, what did Mary Lou die from? And then they say, because Mary Lou was on Medicaid and you guys cut the Medicaid and Mary Lou died, and then what? Oh, my bad.
Welcome back to the Sparkles Show, where politics meet poetry and reality checks come with a sprinkle of satire. Today's episode, buckle up. It's raining irony, and no one brought a red umbrella. MAGA country is having a moment. A meltdown, to be precise. Across the heartland, tears are flowing, dentures are clacking, and SNAP cards? They've stopped swiping. Medicaid's got red tape instead of red hats. And Medicare? Well, it's just care now, if you're lucky. Let's dive into the rest of the video, and we will be back for more commentary.
Hey, I work in healthcare, and I'm going to explain to you why even if you don't think you care about the Medicaid cuts, you should care about the Medicaid cuts. For the premise of this video, we're going to make two assumptions. One is I'm talking to people who are privately insured, not Medicaid consumers. And two, the other assumption is that even if you are a Medicaid consumer and your Medicaid is going to get cut, that does not mean your need for healthcare services is also going to magically disappear. So let's all assume those two things together. So the three ways in which your life is going to change with Medicaid cuts are as follows. Number one, services are going to be more expensive. That means your costs, your private insurance is going to be billed a higher amount, and your premiums are therefore going to be going up as a reflection of that. Quick explanation on that. If I'm a Medicaid consumer and I am in a life-threatening accident, as I was 2 summers ago, and I wind up being transported to the hospital in an ambulance, somebody signs off for my care, presumably me or my loved ones if I'm unable to sign off for that care, and I'm in the hospital and I incur $100,000 worth of charges. The hospital's going to treat me, but as an uninsured average American, I probably can't afford it. And as a patient, I'm probably going to walk away from the bill. Or I won't walk away from the bill, but I'm going to pay it off for the remainder of my life to the tune of $50 or $100 a month. That doesn't work for the hospital because they still have to pay their physicians, their nurses, there's other skilled staff. They have to pay for their supplies and their resources. They're still going to pay for what they for treating me to their staff providers, but they're going to go into the negative on their bottom line. How are they going to recoup that? From insured people by raising their prices. The second way this is going to affect you as a privately insured American is your urgent care and ER visits are going to become a nightmare. That is because when you remove insurance, Medicaid, from many, many people, they are no longer going to be accessing preventative care. And where do these people wind up? Because again, our premise is we still need healthcare even if we don't have health insurance. These people wind up in emergency rooms and urgent cares much, much more often because they wait and wait and wait until they cannot wait anymore, and then they go in for emergency services. Skipping past the part that this is absolutely inhumane and we don't want to live in this society, again, your life as a privately insured person is going to be worse when you need to go to the urgent care for a quick antibiotic, or you need to go to the emergency room because you're having a heart attack. You're going to be bogged down with a even longer wait than what we deal with now because everybody else is going to be there for sore throats and upset stomachs and everything else that they just couldn't tolerate anymore. The third way that this affects you, and I'm talking mostly to Gen Xers and millennials right now, our parents are not going to have resources for the care that they are going to need as they age. You guys, the boomers aren't getting younger. Boomers right now are in their 70s and 80s. They are utilizing Medicaid and Medicare in the form of in-home services, in the form of nursing homes, in the form of visiting nurses and other things that hospice services for people who are at the end of their life. The list is very, very long, and Medicaid and Medicare is a huge funder of these services. So bottom line on that, get ready to have your parents move in with you instead of into the skilled nursing facilities that they probably are eventually going to need. I'm obviously avoiding the bigger point, which is that people deserve healthcare. It's a fundamental human right. But if you're privately insured and you think that this does not matter, I promise you, this matters to you. If you're not thinking empathetically, think logically and think with your budget. This is going to be a disaster for healthcare systems. I also didn't get to the point where I touched on the fact that rural hospitals will close and people will die from this. People will simply die because there will no longer be a hospital accessible enough to them for them to get to in time when they're having a medical emergency. But at the very least, I need everybody, privately insured and otherwise, to call their senators, call their representatives, and say this has to stop. We must continue to fund Medicaid and Medicare.
Okay, it's a little clearer. Y'all, did you hear about the Medicaid cuts? It's very real. Okay, so let's talk about it. All right, so my food stamps went from $700 to $345. Insane. Social Security for my other son went from $945 to $777. They're cutting, okay? So just be prepared. You may have to get private insurance. It's getting insane.
I have to make a confession. You guys were right and I was wrong. You guys kept telling me that Trump was making cuts to Medicaid. And I kept screaming on a mountaintop, he's not making cuts. He's not making cuts. But guess what? I was wrong. You were right. Here are the cuts that Donald Trump is making to Medicaid.
Medicaid will no longer be used to pay for barbaric gender mutilation procedures on minor children. And the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving Medicaid benefits will be kicked off the program to preserve it for hardworking American citizens who need it. President Trump and Republicans are protecting Medicaid benefits for pregnant women, children, disabled individuals, low-income seniors and families, and the most vulnerable Americans in our society.
It's just not the cuts y'all was screaming on the mountaintop. Of course he's cutting those surgeries, as I agree. Of course he's making cuts to Medicaid so those migrants won't be getting our hard-working benefits and all the rest of the cuts. You see, your party, them liberals, they were trying to make it seem like he was going to cut you off of Medicaid. No, he was cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. There you have it. You were right, but it's not the cut you thought it was. Another win for America, another win for DJT. I love my country.
Welcome back, fam. One woman sobbed into a casserole dish. I thought Trump was bringing jobs, not taking grandma's insulin. Another man clutched his veteran ID, whispering, "But they promised. America first." Sir, America was first, on the chopping block. Let's break it down like a Republican budget proposal. Medicaid cuts, check. SNAP slashed, double check. Medicare restructured. Translation, good luck, Grandpa. And suddenly, the same crowd that yelled, "Don't tread on me," is now whispering, "Can I get a copay extension, please?" It's a tale as old as time. Vote against the government, then cry when it acts like one you can't trust. The twist? The very policies they clapped for came back to clap them. That's not karma. It's a GOP committee. But let's not gloat. That's not the Sparkles way. We're not here to point fingers. Unless we're pointing them at the budget spreadsheets. It's a sobering moment in the American saga when ideology meets the ER bill. And while we can't fix it in 15 minutes, we can reflect and maybe, just maybe, learn that voting ain't cosplay. It's policy. To those hurting, truly, we see you. To those realizing their Medicare's gone the way of their Blockbuster card, we hear you. And to those who still think this is all a Democratic hoax, we suggest you check your deductible. This has been another satirical slice of truth with the Sparkles Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who still thinks draining the swamp meant free healthcare. And as always, credit to the original posters and brilliant stitches who made this episode possible. See you next time, where truth glitters and irony always finds the mic.